Mike Bohn here with the champ, Carla Esparza. How are we doing, Carla?
I'm doing great. Ready, got a trip planned for tomorrow, and yeah, feeling good.
Yeah, I mean, does it still feel and new all over again? It hasn't been, very long still, but is the high still going on from the title win?
Most definitely. I mean, part of it still doesn't even feel real. Like, just having this in front of me is still very surreal. It's really exciting.
Yeah, and you obviously got to enjoy it. You said, after the night of the fight, you're going to walk down the aisle for your wedding wearing it. We saw those photos come up. Just how amazing was that experience for you? I'm sure it was going to be awesome regardless, but to have this, how much did it add to it?
For sure. This was one of the best moments of my life, and obviously getting married was also one of the best moments of my life. So it's putting those two together was definitely a highlight in my life.
Definitely. And obviously there was a lot of talk about how the fight went and everything. It's been a little bit of time. Have you had the chance to watch it back and kind of analyze it and break down things you did right, things you did wrong, and now that you kind of have the space in between it, what are your kind of biggest reflections and biggest takeaways of your win over Rose Namajunas?
I guess one of my biggest takeaways is that I'm not happy with the way the fight went, but I think I made the right decision, in reflection. I think I was coming forward, but I think getting much more wild or aggressive than I did could have potentially led to, a highlight reel and not in my favor. So, it takes two to tango, and, unfortunately, still a bummer the fight went that way. And, but at the end of the day, I'm just happy to walk away with the belt.
Of course, you got the win, so that's all that matters. And different feedback from all sorts of people, but I saw certain people coming out. One that reminds me, Joanna and Jacek, a lot of support saying that a lot of people don't understand how hard it is in there. Sometimes when you're fighting, it's not what you expect a lot of times. Is that something that you think people maybe don't appreciate or recognize? Everyone wants the entertainment, the violence, but things don't always unfold that way, right?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, there's so much that goes into the fight and so much preparation. And, I mean, you have two elite level athletes in there every time. So, like you said, you never know what you're going to walk into. And, sometimes your game plan goes exactly what you think. And sometimes you're thrown for a loop and you just got to kind of roll with the punches.
Do you think this is good, a good experience for you going forward? I mean, knowing if potentially you get in a fight like that again, maybe how to comprehend and deal with it differently in the moment?
Yeah, most definitely. I think that every fight is a learning experience.
Makes sense. And, it didn't take long for us to kind of know it was next. Dana White said the night of the fight, we're looking at the winner of Jacek versus Zhang Weili to fight for the belt. We just had that fight, a little over a week ago in Singapore. I guess, give me your thoughts, first of all, on how that unfolded. Obviously, it was a pretty dominant first round for Zhang, and then she goes out there and lands the spinning back fist for the knockout.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't watch the fight. Really? I was supposed to be there, but it didn't work out with the UFC. But, I watched the highlight reel. I think it was hard to miss, and Weili looked, super powerful and awesome. But at the end of the day, for me, if that's the person I'm going to fight next, that's the person I'm going to fight next. Me watching now or me watching a month or two out from when we fight isn't really going to make a difference.
Did you think she was going to win? I mean, I know you said you didn't watch a lot, but going in, what was kind of your inclination? Do you think she was going to win that fight?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I called Weili winning that fight. I figured she would use her grappling, more aggressively as I saw her use with Rose. It seems like something she's really been developing over the last couple of years, and I know that you never know what someone's doing on the sidelines, but I also know that Joanna's kind of been sitting and not been active. So I definitely felt that Weili was going to have the edge. Yeah.
Before we get into the future with her, I want to ask, Joanna retired after the fight. Were you surprised by that?
I don't think I was really that surprised. I mean, if someone's going to sit out for 2 years and be on somewhat of a losing streak, though she has fought the highest competition, I think for her, just from judging on what I've always heard her say, she wants to be the best. She wants to be a champion. And, with losing that fight, I think it was going to be, a far road back. And, I can see why she walked away from it.
Any disappointment? I mean, I know that seemed like a rematch that was, lining up so perfectly. We all talked about the storyline of, maybe making the first defense of this belt against her again. It seems like, MMA retirements, you never know if people might come back, but any disappointment that it seems like you might not ever get that rematch?
There's always a disappointment, but I mean, doing it this long, I mean, so many people that I've fought have, stepped away from the sport. So it just kind of comes with being in the sport this many years, and I've kind of accepted, you're not always going to get that rematch chance. Rose was actually the first rematch I've ever had in, I think, almost maybe 29 fights. So, I would have loved to have had that opportunity because I feel that I've grown so much as a fighter. But, at the end of the day, I'm happy for her and for her journey from here on out.
Yeah. And Weili says after the fight, she gets to the press conference and in the cage too, she says, I think I want to fight Carla in Abu Dhabi on October 22nd, I believe. And she lays out this thing saying it's neutral territory, it's not in China, not in the US. It'd be perfect for us both. What did you make of that suggestion from her?
I mean, I guess I understand why she would say it, she's, it doesn't seem like she took any injuries. She, probably wants to fight closer to home. She shot her shot, Unfortunately, that's not a day that works for me. So I'm not stressing or rushing to get back on a day that works for her. I have some injuries that I have to deal with, a couple MRIs that I'm actually getting tomorrow. So, we'll see after the dust settles, what date makes sense for us.
How do you feel physically right now? Are you concerned these are potentially long-term injuries, or are they things that maybe you've experienced before that are manageable? What would you kind of describe as the severity of the injuries?
I don't think it's anything too serious. I've already had an appointment with the doctor. It says nothing looks surgical. For me, I wanted that peace of mind to get the MRIs because I'm not 100% yet, and it's been a good amount of time. So before I can start pushing hard and go into a camp, I really want to make sure that, I'm not going to injure something that's going to turn into a surgical situation. And I want to fully rehab and go into this camp 100% because, I do have respect for Weili as an opponent. She's a very tough opponent, and I want to go into a camp giving it that respect.
Yeah, and I know the first time you won the belt, it was a very quick turnaround for you. And people, maybe the critics might say Carla wants to hold on to her title reign as long as possible or whatever. But to you, how important is it to make sure that you go into this first title defense at 100% because that's something you weren't able to do the last time you were the champion, is defend the title?
Yeah, I mean that was definitely a big regret of my career is going into that fight and being rushed by the UFC into that initial fight with Joanna and not being 100%, not being ready, not having recovered fully physically. And, she won the fight. Fair and square, I took the decision to take the fight. But the only thing I'm taking away from that is I'm learning from that and I'm not making the same mistake twice.
I think that's completely reasonable. And I know it's probably hard to say. You have the MRIs, you don't know what's going to happen, but could you maybe give a ballpark of when you think you might fight? Do you think it'll be in 2022?
So ideally, I would love to fight in November, December. I definitely want to fight before the year is out. I think the typical number of fights a title holder is going to have is, 1 or 2 fights a year. And I definitely, plan to fall in that range. I want to stay active. I want to fight. This isn't something I'm trying to back away from. And, I love to fight, so as soon as I can get back in there and start a healthy camp, I'm going to do it.
That makes total sense. And as far as the matchup with Weili, she was very, very respectful to you both before and after the fight, saying, "I need to be extremely well-rounded when I do fight Carla." What do you think are the challenges she poses for you in terms of her skill set?
I wish I could give you a definite answer. It's hard because I haven't studied her, and I definitely do my due diligence and do a lot of studying. But just off the bat, I've seen she's very powerful. She finished Andrade, she finished Joanna, and these are some heavy hitters, so I definitely know she has power. Apparently her grappling has, picked up a lot, as I saw with the fight with Rose, because I had to study that one. So, she just seems to be getting better and better, and I'm definitely impressed with her improvement over the years. So same thing like her, I need to go into this fight well-rounded and with a good game plan.
Sure. And we have seen, in some of maybe the wrestling. I mean, I know your wrestling is obviously your biggest advantage over pretty much anyone, but with her in particular, is that something you'll obviously want to test in the fight?
You never know. I mean, it's so interesting that having that wrestling background has kind of given me the opportunity to strike with people or stand with people in a whole fight, which I wouldn't have expected to. So, like you said, you never know what you're going into the fight with. You come in with a game plan and something completely different happens. So we'll see.
And what do you make of the rest of the division right now? If you look at kind of the top 10, there's not a ton of fights booked at the moment, but I know like Marina Rodriguez is out there calling out Rose and Mackenzie Dern and stuff. Who do you see as kind of the ones that interest you as maybe potential future challengers?
Well, like I've said before, for Marina Rodriguez, I mean, she was respectful in me getting my title shot, and I pay her that same respect because I feel that she's on a five-fight win streak. She's gotten a lot better. She's beaten like a lot of the top girls. I felt that Mackenzie Dern was definitely in those talks and, going to be on a 5-win streak had Marina not beaten her. So I think, they're contenders. I think Rose is always in the mix, like you can't take her out of the mix. She's just such a dominant fighter. I mean, she just knocked out Weili. She just beat Weili twice, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I think all those people are definitely in the talks. Obviously, Andrade has come back down, so definitely shaking up the division. And for me, in my opinion, definitely the toughest division out of the women in the UFC.
And Andrade, after her last win against Amanda Lemos, was very vocal towards you. She was putting out a lot of tweets and everything like that. Did any of the things she said, bother you, or was it just in your mind her trying to campaign for her to get a title opportunity?
I think she's, trying to just shoot her shot and trying to get an opportunity, at the title again. For me, not to be rude or whatever, but she's super rude to me. So I just view her as a troll and I just blocked her. I'm not going to engage with her because to me she's just annoying, and I think she's not the classiest of fighters, and I just don't want to deal with her.
Yeah, fair play. And one more that I'm curious about. After Valentina Shevchenko defended her title, she was asked, it's all being talk about her moving back up to 135, but she was asked if she could make 115 and move down, and she said, it's something I'd have to go through, but maybe it's an option one day. What would you think about that fight and her maybe moving down at some point in the future?
Well, that would be scary. She is she is a beast for sure, and I think that she would definitely put some fear in a lot of strawweights' hearts. And I mean, because if you look at Andrade and Joanna, some of the most dominant strawweights in the division, they go up, fight her, and they get destroyed. Yeah. So I mean, it's hard to say what a weight cut would do to her because that's a bit to go. But yeah, that would be scary.
Well, and I think we saw in the fight with Taila Santos. I know you said you didn't watch the event. Obviously, there's some.
Watch that fight actually. Okay. Yeah, no, I thought she looked. I thought Talia actually looked really awesome. I think she surprised a lot of people with how well she did, especially in the first 3 rounds. I saw there was an accidental headbutt, and she lost some vision. Had that not happened, I could see the fight. I mean, it was a very close fight. I could have seen it going the other way. So. But at the end of the day, Valentina got her hand raised and she won the fight. So, I think she's on par to get a new plate. She's filling hers out. So, yeah, definitely for me, Valentina, I consider her as the GOAT of women's MMA.
Interesting. Yeah, and this belt. I mean, how much do you like this one more than the old design? You're one of the rare people who have both versions of it. So, what do you make of this one compared to the other one?
Yeah, I honestly feel pretty cool to have both of them. This one is so good looking, but the other one is just so classic and old school. I mean, it's hard to pick from from both of them because the other one just has so much history behind it. Yeah. And, just what you go through to get the belts. But, I mean, just design-wise, I think this one's really pretty. It's more colorful. It's shiny. Yeah, they're both awesome, though.
Yeah, I remember when they first, released this, I was kind of on the fence about it because, new is always weird. The one, you said, so classic. But over time, I've become pretty warm to it. I like the idea of, the rubies and stuff like that. Is that very exciting that you want to add some of those to this? How many are we going to get all the way filled up, you think?
I mean, shoot, that would be super cool. but I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch. I mean, that is, to even get this belt at all is, a monumental task. So
yeah, after the win, was there anyone that, or any message, someone that said something to you that like meant a lot to you or specifically resonated? Because, all these things come out about the stats, about the longest, time between title reigns and everything. It was a big historic thing that may not ever be done. Who knows how long it'll be until that record is broken again, if ever. So was there anything that was said or messaged to you in the aftermath of the fight that, meant a lot to you?
Yeah, I think people, just kind of along those lines, like, just saying like what I've done for the history, in the history of the sport, and just like you said, like I think 2,800 days in between title reigns. For me that just means so much to have accomplished that. I saw a meme where like I had my belt, the first time, and a picture of me with the new one, and like this sport is so tough, and like look at Joanna, like she's so good, but it's hard to come back and win the belt. It's just there's constantly newer, younger, fresher fighters that are hungry, for these fights. So for me, just people kind of saying, like speaking on this accomplishment, like meant a lot to me, and is probably my most proudest accomplishment of my life.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that, here we are with this belt in front of you. Joanna's retired now after, I'm not sure how many people would have predicted we would be here, 8 years later after your guys' first fight. So it's been a pretty amazing journey.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of people have counted me out, for a long time, even before I got the belt the first time. So, and I think they're going to continue to count me out, and they've always counted me out. I mean, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like I'm not vocal enough. Maybe it's I'm too small, or I don't know what it is. But I mean, like that never spoke like so loud to me. My inner monologue and my belief in myself always spoke louder than everyone else's beliefs.
Yeah, and I mean, you kind of mentioned it there. People seemingly already counting you out against Weili. I think, Daniel Cormier said you might be like the biggest underdog champion going into a title fight or something. Does that bother you? I mean, I know it seems like you thrive off this, even though you might not be, pounding the desk vocal about it in a lot of ways.
I mean, someone told me, I think they were like, out of your last 7 fights, you've been the underdog in like 6 or 5 times or something. So for me, if it bothered me, I don't think it shows, because I still end up with my hand raised. So, at the end of the day, like I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And, if anything, that's extra motivation.
Yeah, if anyone's a Carla Esparza better out there, they're making a hell of a lot of money over the past few years. So good for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think even like my husband bet on me, and I'm like, oh, so you got some shopping money for me after. No, I'm just kidding. But a lot of people actually, I know they won a lot of money on, the last fight. And to me, I'm just like, thanks for believing in me when no one else did.
Yeah, there you go. All you need to do is believe in yourself, Carla. And I've taken enough of your time today. Hopefully, we get news about your health and everything like that. But your hope is you're back in there this year and nothing too severe. You're able to rehab and get your next fight booked whenever it may be.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I want to get back in there. I want to be active. I want to fight. Just want to be back 100% and give this fight like my all.
You've had such a long road to get here. I think you deserve that right, and you've earned that right. So hopefully everything goes smoothly with the doctor tomorrow. Keep us updated, and really appreciate your time.
Fingers crossed. Thank you so much.